Magic 87.6, morning Andrew on the radio and Matthew Dickinson talking tech. Hello.
There, good morning, Andrew. Great to be chatting again.
Nice to be chatting with you, buddy. Now, drones, they're everywhere. It seems as though they're getting announced every couple of weeks, but there's a new one out. And what's the difference between this one and all the others?
Well, you're right, drones are kind of everywhere, but this one goes a bit step further. This one goes inside your house and is autonomous. So you actually set it up as one of your security features. You leave the home, you arm your drone. If the drone detects any movement in your house, it comes out of its dock and it goes around the house. You can predetermine where it goes, which rooms it can go into, which rooms it can't go into, for example. And away it goes and picks up any intruders that might be in the house, or maybe the dog's getting into areas it shouldn't be. But basically, it will feed that information back to you, back to your smartphone, and feed it to the cloud as well. So that if there is a burglar there and they see this drone flying around and they tackle the drone and smash it to the ground, the footage is already in the cloud so that you can actually see the burglar tackling this drone. So it's a pretty interesting way to go about home security. Some people are worried about a bit too much surveillance, but I think in this case it wouldn't be able to be secret surveillance because I reckon you'd probably hear the drone if you're in the house.
Still freak you out though. 3 o'clock in the morning, you get up to go pee, all of a sudden there's gee,
That's right.
here's the drone in front of you.
You're exactly right. So this is the sort of thing we're getting to now. Drones are getting so good. They are getting to the point where they're autonomous. You can pre-program different places they go. So it's pretty exciting with drones, just how far they're going. And as the battery technology develops further, then you'll keep getting better and better drones.
Yeah. I wait for the Terminator drone because it's coming, Matt.
Oh, it's here. It's here. I'm sure in some secret underground bunker somewhere, there's someone that's already got the Terminator drone.
I know, right? Giant bloody bullhorn speaker on it, and it's got laser pointed guidance, something or other.
And Bluetooth.
Yeah.
Everything's got to have Bluetooth.
Oh yeah, everybody's got to have Bluetooth. Absolutely. You don't want to get on the wrong side of that at 3 o'clock in the morning going to live.
That's right.
And it seems as though everyone's got a dash cam around the world now, but there's some exciting new features that they're putting on it.
Dash cams actually started becoming popular in Russia because there were a lot of illegal activities going on with fake car accidents. So they really started off in Russia. But now, yeah, you're right. They're everywhere around the world. And one of the latest features in the new Amazon dash cam is that it's got a feature to allow you to tell Alexa that you're being pulled over by the police. And it will automatically start recording that footage again to the cloud. And obviously this is in response to some maybe heavy-handed action that we've seen from police in the US. I'm sure the New South Wales police wouldn't be involved in any of those sort of activities, but it allows you to start recording it straight away. The other thing it does is that because it's got an actual chip to the outside world, so it's not just relying on an internal chip, it's actually got a connection to the outside world. It's actually recording to the outside world, and that means that someone steals your car, takes your car, you can track where it is. You can also look at that footage. So you can actually tell the police it's going down the main street of Mudgee at the moment, it just turned at the roundabout near the church. So you can actually tell it where it is because you can see that dash cam recording it. And the other thing is, if you're involved in an interaction, a bit of road rage, I'm sure that doesn't happen very often in Mudgee, but if you're involved in a bit of road rage, you can actually say to the other person that's a bit angry with you that this is being recorded and being uploaded to the cloud as they speak. So even if they get angry, they rip the dash cam out of your car, throw it on the ground, again, it's already gone into the cloud. And this is where we're getting now with a lot of these drones and dash cams, all these things. They've got a chip inside them to allow them to communicate with the outside world. So that makes it much better in terms of being able to record that footage in the cloud.
Yeah, unless you have a road rage incident on the Castlereagh Highway on the way to Lithgow with all the black spots there, you won't get anything uploaded on the cloud there.
There is an
assumption. There's no mobile phone service anyway.
That's right. There is an assumption that you've got some service before you actually have that ability to upload to the cloud. So you're right.
Yeah, no.
If you're getting involved in road rage, check the mobile phone reception first.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know what needs to happen? The Russian version just needs to upload direct to YouTube because that's the only thing we ever go to YouTube for is to look at Russian road accidents.
Well,
you see some of that? They're funny as.
I thought it almost did. It seemed to be so many, especially all those initial dashcam TV shows, they all seem to be Russian incidents because that's where it really took off.
Yeah, right. It's weird when you all of a sudden go to YouTube and get 10-hour loops of Russian accidents that you just kind of watch.
Yeah, which tells me what you've been watching in the past, Andrew.
Yeah, well, dog videos aren't popular and cat videos aren't popular anymore. You got to watch something when you go to YouTube.
That's right.
All right, Apple, they've made a new move. What have they done?
They've taken out the charging brick. And some people are saying this is a great move by Apple to look after the environment. We don't need all that extra landfill. And other people are saying it's been driven by profit. And in my opinion, it's probably a little bit of both, to be honest. I think the idea is that you do have so many devices in your house now that have got a USB charging port on them. It might be on your computer. It might be on a multi-port charger. It might be on other devices you've bought. So with the whole range of Apple Watches that have just been released, all the range, the luxury range, the cheaper range, the budget range, they've all been released without the 5-watt USB charging brick in them. And the idea is that you get the cable still to be able to charge your watch, and Apple are saying you've got other USB ports to plug into any of those USB ports and you can charge up your watch. The other part that is interesting with this is that they've made the packaging smaller. Sure, it can be a bit smaller because of the lack of that charging brick, but they've been made smaller with I suppose, compaction of other packaging so they can fit more into a container, which again, they're talking about the environmental impact of that, fewer containers, less shipments around the world. But again, that's got to make it a bit cheaper to actually transport these, which you would think would translate into the new Apple Watches being dramatically cheaper than the old Apple Watches. And surprisingly, they are a little bit cheaper, not dramatically cheaper, but they are just a little bit cheaper.
Yeah, right. That's weird. Apple actually making something cheaper. Generally, when Apple brings something new out, it's more expensive.
Correct.
But in the long term for a consumer, this is just going to frustrate us all, Matt, because we're all going to have to go and buy something new. I'm still whinging about the fact that I need to buy a cable for my phone.
Well, and that's the thing. When you go through, if you go to the Apple website and you go through the checkout process buying an Apple Watch, it reminds you there's no charging brick and asks if you would like to add on one as an extra accessory. So that's where people are focused on the profit side of it. But I still think most people would have some type of USB charging port in their home they could use.
Yeah, no, I have many, but it still frustrates me.
Fair enough.
Because you can never find one when you bloody need one. It's just, anyway. Walking, it's something I don't do very regularly, but apparently now it can generate useful energy.
Well, look, that's debatable, Andrew. I'm not sure what you define as useful energy, but they have got some little devices that you can put on your body as you walk, and the wind going through those will actually generate some power. Not a lot though. We're talking about 2.5 milliwatts here. When we talk about a charging brick to be able to charge up your watch, for example, most of those charging bricks are about 5 watts. So 2.5 milliwatts is not going to be enough to charge your phone or your watch when you're out doing some walking or even a brisk walk. It's enough to probably power a couple of little LED lights. And I know if I go walking or running at night time, I've got a little cap that's got some LED lights in it and that's got a little tiny battery, but it would be enough to power that, for example, which was quite interesting. But the ultimate aim of this particular idea is not so that we can have some LED lights on our cap when we go walking. The idea is they're trying to get to the point where they can actually scale this up. And there are some places where a wind turbine may not work. So, for example, on the top of a building, or you might have some areas where you're worried about some wildlife being damaged by wind turbines. The wind going through these two tubes when you walk is the same when you scale it up. And you can actually get to the point where you're generating significant amounts of electricity by having it on a much larger scale, just with wind going through two tubes next to each other. So I suppose it's a small scale way of testing whether this concept will work before they scale it up to large scale.
Yeah, right. That's encouraging to know, considering whenever I walk, I just generate my own atmosphere around me because I'm just so low.
It depends how wide that wake might be around you and how much of an impact it might have on other people as well.
Oh, yeah. Being 6'4" and 5 foot wide, yeah, it generates a lot. NBN they've been in the news a lot lately, and you know what, Matt, I'm going to come out and say K-Rudd was right. You should have just left the damn thing alone.
Well, there's been a few people having a few comments now, and Kevin Rudd is certainly one of them, saying that the original idea from Labor, and I must admit I agree with Kevin, the original idea of taking fibre to each individual premises was the right way to go. The coalition came along and said, no, we'll do it cheaper. And then lo and behold, the government's made an announcement that they're going to now go back and upgrade places where they put in fibre to the node with, guess what? Fibre to the premises. So the whole concept from the very beginning that was meant to save money, in my opinion now, I can't see any other way you could slice it and dice it or dress it up in any other way. It's going to cost you more money. If you've rolled it out once with with copper, and then you go back and roll it out again with fibre, that's got to be more money than doing it with fibre in the first place. Blind Freddie could see that. Most of Australia could see that all those years ago. Unfortunately, the coalition government couldn't see that, and that's the way they went forward. Even the founding CEO of NBN Co, Mike Quigley, has come out and said that using some of the copper cabling in the original rollout was the wrong decision. And he can say that because it wasn't his decision, it was a political decision. He was just responsible for the actual rollout after the political decision was made. But it does seem to make sense. But the good news is the haves and the have-nots, and if you take a place like Dubbo, for example, 3/7 of Dubbo is fibre to the node, 4/7 of Dubbo is fibre to the premises. So you can literally have a street in Dubbo that one side of the road has got fibre to the premises, happy days, the other side's got fibre to the node, not so good. And that fibre to the node quality can vary a lot. Someone like Mudgee's got a mixture of fixed wireless and fibre to the node, but people with fibre to the node in Mudgee now will be able to actually request a change so they can get fibre to the premises. Supposedly there'll be no cost to that, except you have to be on a plan that uses that speed. If you're a low-end user that doesn't use much data, doesn't need the speed, if you request fibre to the premises to your place, NBN Co will say, no, you don't need it at your place. You're not using enough data or enough speed requirements to need it. But if you've got the plans that have access to that extra speed, you'll be able to get fibre to the premises for free. It's all a bit murky at the moment. All sounds a bit complicated. Not sure how they're going to do it. Bottom line is, good news for people who've got fibre to the node and want fibre to the premises. Sometime in the next few years, you'll be able to do it at minimal cost.
Now, I have an understanding that apparently Mudgee actually got dug the trenches for fibre to the premises, but we were meant to be one of the first ones that were meant to get fibre to the premises. But of course, Malcolm Turnbull, in his genius, went and kiboshed that after they sat there and dug trenches and stuff and changed the whole lot. We're on fibre to the node here, and it's okay for what we do, but seriously, I've been to friends' houses with fibre to the premises. It is fantastic. We all should be on that.
And it gets even better because this week, Telstra has announced a new plan, a gigabit plan. So if you've got fibre to the premises, you've now got the ability from this week onwards to be able to pay a bit extra. And it's not a ridiculous amount of money. We're talking about in the vicinity of $170 per month to give you gigabit speeds to your household, but only if you've got FTTP. If you've got fibre to the node, sorry, you can't get access to those speeds.
Yeah, no.
In fact, you can't even ask for the absolute maximum speed in before this week. You could only go up to the speed that gave you a maximum of around 50 megs per second, although some people were getting better than that with fibre to the node. So yeah, fibre to the node was always going to be a stopgap solution. And if you go and do something twice, it's got to be dearer than doing it right the first time.
Oh, of course. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It was over budget after the libs kind of messed around with it. So, here we are. We're going to be paying for this for forever and a day.
Yeah. And look, you'd be very annoyed because you did have an option before where you could go to NBN Co and say, I'd like my FTTN changed to FTTP. And you paid $330 as a quote fee, and then a quote came back. It might be a few thousand, might be tens of thousands. Once you got the quote back, you could then say, yes, please go ahead with that. So some people did pay the thousands or even tens of thousands to have their place upgraded from FTTN to FTTP, but now going forward, they won't have to pay for that. So you'd be a bit dirty if that just went through last week.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.